Come on, wake up out there. This has been an absolutely incredible day. I do a lot of these, and what I got was something very different today, like I've never done before. No, I don't tell everybody that. What I got was a feeling of culture, a feeling of collaboration, a feeling of not just hopefulness, but enough focus to way, I'll be damned if it's not gonna work. Am I off? Nope. This is the interactive part, people. So what I want to talk about is how we got here, why you're here, and I go back to something that Tom said this morning that stuck out to me, and that is, I'm looking at a room full of people that enjoy doing hard shit. I think that's what you said, right? Is he wrong? We're gonna try this again. Can you turn the music back on, please? Because I don't think they're on. They know I'm here yet. There we go. All right, so, hi, I'm Roderick. Let's try that again. Are we ready to go now? Yeah. There we go. So, if I'm sitting out there, I've got the very same question that you've got. Who's this guy and why should I care? I know, I see the faces, because I sit on that side as well. So let me tell you who I am. I come from 25 years of experience as an executive, and that's with a couple of companies you may have heard of: AT&T, Siebel, eBay, HP, Oracle, Marketo. Why does that matter to you? Because it took all of those things to be able to share the things with you that I'm going to share today. While that's great, I've got a decent resume, besides those things, what I got was an opportunity to become a founder myself. So I'm one of you. I went through 25, 30 years, and I said, all right, that's great. It was fun. I was a BDR, I was an AE, I was a sales leader, I was a trainer, and then I created this little thing about 18 years ago called sales enablement. Anybody heard of it? I think it might be big one day. It's going to catch on. Yeah, this is the guy that came up with it, only because I was actually being a smartass. I was talking to my VP of sales, and he said, we are losing too many deals because they're not very good at discovering qualifications. He said, and I said, okay, so what's the answer? He said, throw training at it. Okay. Then he said, we're discounting too much, and we're losing out in ACV. And I said, all right, what do you recommend? What do you think he said? You've heard this before, haven't you, Vivek? I'm taking you on the road with me. He said, throw training at it. And then he said, we've got a bunch of managers and no leaders. And I said, let me guess. What did he say?
Throw training at it.
No, he didn't say that part. Yes, he actually did. He said, throw training at it. And I looked at him and I said, you know what? That's not what we need. I think you train animals, you enable people. Then he said, whoa, that's amazing. How do you enable? And I was like, now that's a good question. So as enablement folks do, I actually explained. It's literally an end-to-end process, all about making people bigger, faster, and stronger like yourself. We haven't started the clock yet, guys. Like yourselves. So the goal was to take this, and then how do I get it out to the world? Well, I was blessed enough to write a best-selling book called Sales Enablement 3.0. Why 3.0? Because it was literally the process of everything that happened and how we got to here, right? Along the way, I was blessed enough to be a part of 14 M&A activities. So, like you folks, being acquired, is part of my DNA. And it's one of the things that Deirdre and I really talked about a lot, because it's one thing to just bring a speaker up here. I'm not a speaker. I'm a practitioner just like each of you, right? I'm an operator, just like some of you in the room. I'm still out there doing this, right? I've got my company. Yeah, sure, there are people. But at the same time, if I can't get out here and get my fingernails dirty, you'd look at me and go, waste of time. He has no idea what we're doing. But on the other side of that, I'm a guy that absolutely loves hard things as well. And that's why I was so excited about this today, right? And I've also along the way decided, let's share the knowledge with 8, 9 different startups myself, because I need to stay close to the pulse of what's going on. So when I have conversations like this, I'm not just some unknown. Then the crux of all of that became, and Vivek and I were just talking about this not long ago, before I came up. On October 28th, 2021, I had a massive stroke and actually coded and died. And they brought me back, thankfully. And while I was out, didn't leave the room, didn't see a white light. What I did was floated up to the corner of the room, and I'm watching on them work on my body, doing chest compression, sucking fluids out of me, a lot of screaming and noise going on of people talking to each other and counting. And I look to my left, and I see my mom. FYI, my mom died in 1999. And she said she came for 2 reasons. One, to let me know that things are going to work out, and they're going to figure this out. The second piece was that she gave me a new purpose in life. I didn't believe in NDEs before that, by the way. But when your mom comes, you kind of get the idea it might be real. So why is it important? Because not the lifetime achievement. I could care less about that. That's why. That's why I'm back. That's a part of it. Something that's bigger than me, way cuter than me, with an opportunity now to leave some legacy. And I put that up there not because she's adorable, which, is she adorable? Yeah. That's not why. Because legacy. And the comparison I make between her, and I know it's going to be a stretch for some of you, it's about leaving something bigger than you and beyond you. It's about being at the floor of building something very, very special. And speaking of special, I want to say this. I've been talking and speaking for 30 years now. And this is the first time that I have an opportunity. Stand up in the back, please. Stand up. Stand up. It's the first time my daughter's ever seen me on stage. That's legacy. Now, enough about me. Let's talk about why we're here. There are 4 things that I want to talk about. First is building that foundation, of which most of you are going through right now. Now, bear in mind, I know we've got a wide span of folks in the room. So from pre-seed to Series A/B, I'm going to be somewhere in between the middle of all of those. And so if you've got clarification questions or want to go deeper, ask those questions at the end here or upstairs. And by the way, I should probably mention, and I think you've got this idea all right, I stand between you and cocktails right now. I brought 2 decks. Guys will tell you. One has 110 slides. One has 16. Depending upon how much noise you make right now, you're going to let me know which one of those slides I'm going to use. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Bring the big one up. This has to say, there you go. I'm keeping him. Foundation's built. Once it's built, who are the right people to bring in? When do you bring them in? Why do you bring them in? And you're gonna hear me say this word a lot. Why? Because to me, the way that you're going to be successful in this journey that you're in right now is to all become 3- and 4-year-olds all over again. And what I mean by that is, but why? But why? But why? The more you can ask that question, not only of yourself, but of your peers as well, That's what's going to be able to elevate each of you and collectively as a hive are going to grow. Now you've got the right people in mind. How do you move from inception to really driving productivity? And most importantly, profitability. Anybody here want to make a little money? This is also the interactive part. Anybody out here want to make a little money? Yeah. There we go. And then finally, how do you do it? It's about building scalable, repeatable, iterative processes, documenting those, as we talked about earlier upstairs, in multiple ways. We think documentation, and we think, oh, I've got to build a doc, I've got to build an SOP. Think video now. Because what happens when your teams grow, you bring more people on, the people you've got at that point are already overburdened. What if you had small shorts and reels for them? How much faster do you think they could actually ramp up? Now, certainly having the documentation is important. It's critical. But bear in mind, as a learning and development professional, we all know that not everybody learns that way. So start to think, as all of you do on a daily basis because you're here, to start thinking about things just a little differently. Not just what you're doing today, but even if you have to go back to that cute little picture, think legacy and next steps. Think growth. Think about what are we doing next. Think, in Tom's words again, think velocity. And velocity means not only people, but it's also customers and it's products. So start broadening your mind now and thinking about those things with a completely different set of lenses. And sometimes the problem is it's hard to work on the business because you're so busy working in it. This is one of those moments I want you to just stop for a moment and really think about if we had to bring someone in, regardless of what you do in your company, if we had to bring somebody in that does what I do right now, one, are we prepared? And secondly, how long would it take for me to get them up to be profitable, to be productive, and not to be at your level because you've got it down pat, but to be actionable? I'm looking at a few faces going, that might take a little while. Start thinking about it now before it happens. You're here because you're planners. You're here because you want to do something different. You're here because you want to do something special. Something special also means thinking beyond where we are today and even thinking about replacing myself. I love this picture for a number of reasons. And you see it, and what do you see is a lighthouse, right? It's not what I saw when I devised it. What I saw was chaos all around me, and I am the calmest piece of it. That's how you work and live every day. So for those that are early on in your companies, I want you to think about some things. It's one thing to just say, oh, and I loved the section right before me, and I'm glad that it was there right before here about networking. For those of you that missed it that were upstairs, solid session. They were talking about how to network the right way utilizing LinkedIn, how to do it multiple ways. I look at it this way, it's about building your ecosystem, but not just with peers of yours that do what you do, not just other founders, not just other members of the Hive. It's about talking to other investors. I know, not about anything beyond, hey, just want to kind of kick some dust and kick the tires. It's about talking to other CXOs that have been where you are now, got to that next level, and beyond. Enterprise level CXOs that can tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and not tell you that the journey you're about to go on is all unicorns and rainbows, because it's BS if that's what they tell you. I would say, and I did it. I talked to, when I started my company, I talked to people, and I know this was a little while ago because I have no hair now, don't remind me. even when I went to the barbershop. You know why? Because it wasn't the people that were in the barbershop that I was really talking to, and I wasn't marketing to them. I was having a conversation. I was not giving them a presentation. Never once did I say, hey, can I send you my deck? No. What I was saying was, if you or anyone else that you know, extended ecosystem again. Pickleball players, for those that play, or whatever you do for fun. I know, what is this fun you speak of, right? Whatever you do for fun and get out and about, there's a way to do it without sounding salesy. It's just in casual conversation. Why? Because if you're so excited and so passionate about what you're doing, why would you not want to share it? If you love what you do, even though it's hard work, why would you not share it? The next piece is, now that it's out to your network, how do you get that out to market validation? It's, again, having those conversations. It's about talking to people that have been there and done it before and are further along the journey. And then ask the question, how can I do this on a budget? What tools are available to me? We've been talking about AI all day, rightfully so, and thank God we were. The upside we have about the age and stage of technology that we stand in today is that I guarantee anything you need to do or want to do or don't even know you need to do yet, there's an AI tool that can do it. But here's where I want to caution you slightly. I want you to stop thinking about AI as a standalone tool. I look at AI no different than I do Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. It is a productivity tool that is only good on the outcome as what you put in. Would you agree? Yeah. Thank you. Somebody's awake out there. Or just wants me to talk faster so we can get to cocktails. I'm not sure yet. Still filling you out. Don't give me that. It's literally about finding a way to do it. But here's what I want to add. As I said, not to be a standalone tool. Stop thinking about it as a tool. Think of it as a part of your daily life now. By show of hands, who uses AI every day? If you didn't raise your hand, we need to talk. Or you need to buy a phone or something. Look at it from this perspective. Think of AI as part of a three-legged stool. IQ, EQ, plus AI. I'm going to say it again. IQ, EQ, and AI. Why? Because when you put those together, what actually happens is you take that mechanism, that tool, and you utilize it to make yourself more human. You utilize it to now start talking differently. Even if you're an engineer and you're used to the technical pieces, I want you to start focusing on how to have a conversation about what your company does rather than giving a presentation. In basic, simple words, if I were talking to a friend that knew nothing about what I did, how would you explain what your company does and what you do? I think it was not too long ago my kids actually figured out what I do, because my daughter's best friend actually thought I worked for the CIA because I was never home. And then I would pop in suddenly, and then I'd be gone for 2 more weeks. But I couldn't actually, and then I started playing around with her. I was like, I can't tell you, because they'll come knock on your door one day, and you don't want that. Find a way to make yourself more human by leveraging the tools that are going to make you more productive, bigger, faster, and stronger. The one thing that I love in doing my research before I came to talk about this was, and I want to give kudos to you, Tom, and you, Vivek, on what you've done here, which is very, very special. Normally, when I'm talking to PE, VC firms, they've got a specialty, but they've also created an echo chamber, because everybody looks like blue and light blue. So the hard thing they have is, how do they differentiate themselves? You don't have that problem. You guys have a full broad of portcos. Now, what you do have that I love is a spirit and a culture of competitiveness, but not to the detriment to where I've seen this before, they actually create a Shark Tank. You guys, what I love is the fact that your competition comes from, they did this, now it's not just possible, it's probable. How do we take it from a 2 to a 7? Then the next company says, how do we take that up to an 11? How do we take it up to a 19? Whatever you do, please don't ever lose that. Because I've seen too many companies and too many portcos that lose it. Or they start thinking FOMO, FOMO, FOMO. How do we do what they did the way they did it? I implore you, don't ever start trying to do it the way that they do it, but stay within the superset model. Because you guys have something special here that I have never seen before. You've got something that's scalable and repeatable and replicatable. You've got competitive advantage. You've got key differentiation. And most important, in the stories I've heard today, you've got business value for each of you. Back to that 4-year-old why. And the way I define business value is this. So, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect or customer, how can we help you do one of two things? Because there's no other reason anybody buys than the two things I'm about to say. Now, there are layers under it, but there's only really two reasons. Increase productivity and efficiency or decrease pain. That's it. And as a salesperson, I hear all the time, oh, let's go dig for pain. Let's go figure out how this works. What if it's not about pain? What if it's about productivity? And if it is about pain, here's the next layer and level of that. Do they need an aspirin, a Vicodin, a Valium, or extraction? That's what you should be thinking about. Not what's their depth of pain. It's what do we do differently that they can't get anywhere else but us. Why? Because we've done our homework. We know and understand them, their business. But there's also one piece that I'm going to give you right now that's going to separate you from all of your competition. It's not enough to just go look at the 10K, the 10Q, go listen to their quarterly calls. I want you to start asking one question when you're out there talking. Whether you're an engineer, whether you're in sales, whether you're across GTM, ask this one question, and I guarantee you it will change every conversation that you have, even if you're in CS. Ask this one question, and the question is this. So, Mr. and Mrs., either prospect or customer, I've done all my homework. I understand where you're going. I understand your pain points. I understand what's happening with the company. What's the one thing that you will get that you can only get by working with my company for you personally? Can I help get a bigger title, promotion? Can I help you get a bigger seat at the table? Or can I get you out of the doghouse? Think about this. You know what you just said? If I'm that customer or that prospect, you care about me. Last I checked, people still buy from people. Regardless of how many agentic agents are out there, at the end of the day, if I don't trust you, I won't talk to you. If I don't talk to you, I can't buy from you. If I don't buy from you, why are we talking? Start asking that question. What's the one thing that we can do? Individually and collectively. And I guarantee you things will change. So let's talk about a word that I've heard a lot today, and it made me smile, and that was orchestration. But I think there are two words that should go before orchestration. Communication, collaboration, then orchestration, in that order. Because as I was saying, if you don't communicate clear with me, we're not going to work. If everybody on your team, everyone in the hive, everyone in your company is not working and rowing in the same direction, won't work. Even if you got everybody on the same bus, are they in the right seat, is the question. And if they are, how do we individually push each other to be bigger, faster, and stronger tomorrow than we were today, and even better than where I ever thought we could be? Anybody else on that same plane with me right now? You got the music ready? So how does this work? We all know it all starts with ideation, with an idea. I believe that I can do something different if I'm a founder. I can see a better mousetrap. I can see a thing that has given me a headache and or that I hear over and over and over. How am I going to do it, right? That problem identification and solution, it's as simple as that. But ideas are only as good as you taking them to the next place. Now that you've got to that prototype, what am I going to do with it, right? It's about building that initial model before you even get to the MVP. Just that first piece where I can say, it's now moved from my head and I can literally see this thing and I can go have conversations and find out who else do I need on this bus with me and what seat does each one of us need to be sitting in because we're going to go blow the roof off this thing. And then once you've got that, and some funding, of course, always helps, how do I not take that to that next level of my MVP? No one says this is going to be the end-all to be-all, but it's enough for people to start gaining traction and believing in you and what you are planning to do. And when you do that, it's amazing how that groundswell happens, and it happens quickly. Now, I was hearing a story upstairs of Checksum, and they've got $3 million in ARR and growing. Growing in ACV, and how's that happen? How does that happen was my question. Because one, 3 salespeople, $3 million ARR and growing, ACV that's growing, and I've only got 3 people doing it? You want to hear about passion? You want to hear about determination? You want to hear about refusing to hear no? I'm not saying that doesn't mean that you're going to win every single one. And I told the ladies right here in front of me, did I not? That I have never heard this in my 30 years. So give it up for them, first of all. Then it's time to scale. Take that thing to the next level, and let's take it out to the real world. And you know what? Take it out with the mindset that we are not just going to be successful and win. We're going to own the space that we're in. We're going to have other companies looking and going, Tom, what the hell are you guys doing over there? How's this happening? All right? Vivek, what are you doing? All of a sudden, these numbers are going up. Companies are going crazy. I'm seeing acquisitions. And you know what you're going to say, Vivek? None of your business. That's exactly what you're going to say, right? Now, there's a paradox that comes about. First, even despite all the unprecedented capital available out there, most startups fail. We know that. They fail to achieve sustainable growth. Why? Because they've got the passion, they've got the heart, but either they don't have the right people around them, or they don't have drivers and operators. Now, they say they believe in them, but will they put the wood behind the arrow and really do it? Will they put some funding behind it for you? Technical innovation, and I know this is going to be preaching to the choir, right? Faster than it's ever happened in the history of time. However, there's a lot of excellent products that go out, and they can't find the right market, so they never come to market. Again, you guys don't have that problem because you're learning from each other, you're learning together, and you're collaboratively pushing yourself to do better. 90% of startups, and again, I'm giving you from my experience now, 90%, 9-0, fail. 70% of VC-backed startups fail to return any capital back to their investors. Would you guys go for that? Does that sound about right? Sound high? Sound low? No. So what you've done now is done a phenomenal job of hedging your bet, of making sure that you brought in the right people, you were very selective with all your due diligence, and I have an answer for why those are so high. By experience. Remember, 14 M&A activities I've been through. And I've found one jewel that works or doesn't work every single time. Let me ask you, what do you think that is? Collaboration is part of it. Someone else said something over here? People. Tell me a little more about that.
Done a lot of M&A as well, and so every acquisition there's like fits, right? How people culture and so on, right? And so if there's
So culture clashes is what I'm hearing. It's actually more simplified than that. Because people aren't boxes. You can't just put them in a box and leave them there. Bear in mind, even when we acquired companies, and I'll talk to about a couple of those in a bit, and one of those was actually Blue Kai, Omar's company, when I was at Oracle Marketing Cloud. He was there, so was Corey. The one thing that we did differently was realize that the company that we acquired or were acquiring were not the same people that we acquired. Not in a negative way. I think what we did was actually push them further along than where they even thought they could be. Organizational readiness, empathy, small things. What I realized quickly on an acquisition, the technology is the easy part of integrating. We did that in due diligence. That's easy. We know where the bits, bytes, and bots are going to go. The hardest part, and I have a friend of mine, Tim Ojai, and he always says this thing to me. He says, everything goes perfect until humans get involved. And I agree. That's the hard part of getting everybody on the same page. So how do you pull this all together? It's about people, it's about the human piece, right? It's about building that revenue team. And by the way, for the folks, can you raise your hand if you're in engineering? Keep your hand up if you think you are a revenue driver. Thank you. Now tell the rest of your compadres they are also. All right? You are the front end of revenue. Because if you don't build this together, you don't get out the door of what prospects and the street are asking for, there will be no revenue. Marketing, folks, in here. 1, 2, 3. How many of you think you're part of revenue and drive revenue? See, engineers, look at this. All of them said yes. Why? Because they realized without the right messaging and positioning, without partnering with the rest of the organization, revenue doesn't happen. Every single person in this room is a revenue driver. Whether you carry a bag or not, whether you're coding or not, whether you're making messaging, positioning, and assets, whether you're enablement, you're a driver, right? From pre-seed all the way out to seed. And I think that seed is where you start to bring in that marketing and that product leader. Because now you've gotten enough momentum to say, yes, there's a need for it, there's an ask for it, and we solve solutions. Now, how do we message and position it? Let me say this word, consistently. And I've seen that be the biggest problem with small companies and startups. If I asked 8 people what the company does and what the value of it is and the ROI, I'll hear 10 different ways. And by the way, please don't conflate value with ROI. Value is an emotional statement. I think, I feel. ROI is hard line, top line revenue. It's what keeps the lights on and gets everybody paid. Now you've hit Series A, it's about time to bring in that sales leader. And I don't mean someone that you know that's been amazing at Salesforce and Oracle, et cetera, because they don't have the mentality, most of them don't have the work ethic, and they don't quite understand what it's like to be scrappy because they've got a whole team behind them. I'm seeing heads nod. Am I off base here? Thank you. Thank you. I almost turned the music on again, Vivek. Get somebody that loves to do hard stuff, just like you, that has the network to be able to make it happen. Then you hit Series B. That's at the point it's time to really start buckling down, bringing in those account managers. Because you've already sold, now you've got someone to make sure that they own the upsell, the cross-sell, the renewals, and you have strong retention at that point. But you also need an enablement person. Shout out to Nicole back there, I see you. Why is that important? Because there has to be someone that wakes up every single day thinking about one thing and one thing only. How can I make all of you better, bigger, faster, and stronger? How do I build out things that are scalable and repeatable and things that I can put revenue-focused metrics behind? I'm not talking about smiley sheets and butts and seats. No one cares about that. What are we doing to accelerate speed to revenue, increase productivity per head, and build customers for life? Show of hands, who wants customers for life? Everybody except for two, but I'm not going to tell you who those were. I'll let you figure that part out. And when you've done that, how do you do it? Most companies focus on their sales process, their sales methodology, and we'll say their selling motions. None of that matters if you don't understand the buyer's journey. Who buys? How do they buy? When do they buy? Do they have buying committees? Do they have buying seasons? Once you start to understand that, now you can really be that dentist that I was talking about earlier, of being able to go in and really understand where their pain is and what do they need from a medicine perspective to become bigger, faster, and stronger. Not enough. Now I get it. We've got a solution. I heard the one thing that really stuck out in me with the ladies from Checksum, and man, I didn't forget you, was the best thing that you can do is qualify out early. Don't waste your time. And everybody isn't, shouldn't, and won't be your customer. Because all it takes is to get one customer or client that's outside of your ideal client profile, your ICP, and you will wish you did not get them. And you'll never step out like that again. So make sure that you're helping the right people the right time, the right way, and then put everything that you've got inside of you to make them successful. Evaluation's important. POVs we talked about, right? Not POCs, and I love that, right? Not proof of concept, proof of value. Because now you know you've got the right person, right type, right company, and now what I can do is pull that all together. Go into the decision process, understanding and asking all the right questions to make sure that all T's are crossed and all I's are crossed or dotted. And make sure that you have a documented implementation plan, because it says two things. One, we're not hoping it works on your dime. And the other thing is, we're trained professionals. We've done this before. We're going to make sure that this works right. I love this statement. Culture is what happens when nobody is watching. It's not what you put on your website. It's not what you put out on your marketing material. It's all the things that people are talking about in rooms when you're not there. It's what happens when you've done that conversation with the prospect or the customer and you're not in there anymore. So I'm going to give you a quick case study. Jigsaw. We were the earliest version of Apollo way back in 2008, 2010, right? We were acquired by Salesforce. We were super excited about it. We became the data cloud. Anyone heard of them? Became data.com, right? Now, here's what happens. The goal was to add an additional 10% based on performance that we would give a kick to Salesforce. Doesn't sound like a lot. When we start thinking about the numbers, it really is, right? Here's the problem. We were an absolute cultural mismatch. Everything worked from a perspective of all the technology. But the problem was, we were a one-call close. They were a long tail behind all of their closes. And there was nothing in between. So we were being brought in, and these things were supposed to take 3, 6, 8 months. And we were like, this should take like 28 days. Here's what happens. They spent $142 million on us. I know it's Salesforce. It's probably couch cushions to them, right? They had a little spare change laying around, so they're like, here you go. But at the end of the day, right now, data.com doesn't exist anymore because of culture, which is the opposite of what you have that I said earlier in my conversation with you. Don't change that culture. Founders, as you're looking to that next level of being acquired, I know you've got all the right questions to ask. I know you're all prepared. I know you're all brilliant. But don't forget this statement that I just said. Culture is what happens when nobody is watching. Now let's talk about one that went really well. I'm just going to build this out. Growth exponential. Customer retention, low and went through the roof after they were acquired. This was when I was at Oracle, and we built something called Oracle Marketing Cloud. Anybody heard of it? Yeah. Blue Kai was a part of it, right? Acquired 7 companies in 4 years. It was bananas, right? Wound up at the end of the day with a revenue stream of $1.3 billion. Tom, you remember that one? It went crazy, and it was a rocket, was it not? And you know why it was? Because the one thing that we did there was put more emphasis on bringing the leaders from each of those companies together at the same table to talk about culture. How can we take some of the best practices from each of those that were really good and let's implement them here? It's hard enough when I work for this company and I love it and I helped grow it, and now I've got to go take all of my swag and put it away. I've got to take my love and my ability to stand behind that and go, what am I supposed to do now? Who am I? What do I do? That's what we didn't want. We never said stop wearing your swag for the first 3 months, right? Then we had to be unified after that. But what it turned out to be, and my role was literally to make sure that I can assess the company's sales organization, their processes, their platforms, and how it all integrated. I had the easiest part on the team because we already knew it was going to work. But what I didn't realize was how much I was going to step across that line and become the ambassador of culture. And not me personally, but that role. That is the role of enablement. So if you're wondering, what does enablement really do? We're the bearers of culture. We're here to make sure that everybody understands what they do and what we can do for them. What are the outcomes? At the end of the day, Oracle acquired us, and the deal closed for $5.8 billion. At that time, the largest ever. Oracle, unlike Salesforce at that time, they were not going to lose money. And so they made sure that we had the right people on the right bus in the right seat. Metrics are critical. And I'm just going to kind of fly through this one, and I'll make sure you guys get this as well. But the key here is at each one of those stages, whether it's your first 10 customers, and by the way, those first customers, they're buying you and they're buying your idea as much as they are buying the products that you're selling. So if you don't believe in it, you're not passionate, you're excited about it, why would they be? Right? As you move forward and you start to scale, you get 10, 50. Now things start to become a focus on what I call age and stage of where you are. And that is messaging positioning changes, ICP's going to shift, and potentially some of the folks that you sit next to may or may not be here as well. Because some people are very good at various stages. Others, they're here for the long haul. And I love that piece, right? Here's what's unique about you folks. And this should look really familiar. Passionate company builders, not just capital. It's not just throwing money at you and hoping that it's going to work. By the way, if you haven't heard it before, hope is not a strategy. Hope alone is not enough. It takes the passionate people in this room. It takes everyone being collaborative. It takes learning from each other, and I heard it earlier today. It requires a couple of gutter balls as well. Everything's not going to be a strike. But it's not about what happens when you throw that gutter ball. It's about what do you do with that next ball that's in your hand. because I'm not very good at bowling, but every once in a while I can get a spare. And I'm pretty excited. Am I the only one that gets excited about getting a spare when you're bowling? Because you're like, you know what? Spare, pins, don't talk to me now. I got this covered. Because the next time is going to be a strike in your mind, right? Am I wrong? Because you know why? Because you've proven to yourself with a spare, I know how to knock the pins down. Next time, I don't need that second ball. I'm good now. Here's some of the potential problems that I've seen. First is stay away and resist FOMO. It's going to happen. Oh, I've got other friends over here, or I'm looking other parts of the hive. How come they're further ahead? How come they're being acquired? When's our turn? Stay the course and stay focused. Because just like everything else in life, there is a time for everything. And as I said earlier, because you're so different in portcos, that means things won't be linear and parallel all the time, right? The next is there's always going to be pressure. You've got internal, you've got boards, investors, et cetera, that are going, hell, okay, when's this going to happen? Let's make it move. But then you've also got clients that are saying, please don't cut corners. Here's what we need. We'll tell you exactly how we need it, right? So you've got to find a balance between those. Oh, my favorite. Founders, learn how to avoid happy ears. And for those that don't know what it means I've gotten a signal that they want to buy. No, they didn't. They said we liked it. We said, oh, okay, it's interesting, finger quotes. It's different from anything I've seen. Did they say we are ready to send you a DocuSign signature? I've realized now because my wife does accounts payables and receivables. She always reminds me when I get to that point of happy ear. I am sales, she is finance. It's not done until I see something flow into the account. Oh, I just did this. That was a good conversation. That's really cute. Have you gotten a DocuSign yet? Keep that in mind, all right? And the last piece is, how do I create what I call revenue multipliers? It's right here. It's go-to-market, but it's also bringing in the engineers. It's also bringing in marketing. It's also bringing in enablement. And it's bringing everybody to the same table so that all of our nomenclature, all of our messaging and positioning are lockstep. The last thing you can afford is have an amazing product, an amazing messaging and positioning, and then get out there and people start saying different things, and now you've confused the market and you've confused the street. Make sure there's consistency. Now, how do you transition from being a founder to a sales-led team? It's as simple as this. 4, and 4 only. First, you've got things that aren't sustainable, and sometimes you get a lot of what I call false confidence. They said, I like it, we're going to move forward. Here's how you test it. Go to phase 2. That's where you start building out playbooks and foundations and start building out things that are scalable and repeatable. The next is then it gradually transfers from relationships into developing repeatable talk, objection handling, deeper discovery, understanding who they are, what they need, and going back to being that 3- and 4-year-old again. Why? What's wonderful? How is great? Why will close deals and put money in the pocket? And the final piece is making sure that customer success, the back end, is a part of this as well. Because otherwise you build this big, beautiful house with a short hallway that people are going to trip out of the back door. It's a lot easier to keep a customer than it is to win them back. Because once they leave, it's like an ex. They're an ex for a reason, right? Do you really want to go back? I don't. No, say you either, huh? So treat them well and they will stay around. Listen to them. And stay in constant communication. When they've asked for things, circle back and say, hey, this is what's coming in the next release, or we're not quite there yet, but I've made sure that I put it in the ears of the right people, and I'll keep you abreast of what's going on and when it's going to happen, or sometimes it's not going to happen. Now, if I didn't give you something you can go put into practical application, then I've wasted your time and just walk back and forth on the stage. That's not the plan here at all. First, I want you to for those that are not, document, document, document everything. It may seem like it doesn't even matter or it's silly right now. But again, what happens if someone leaves? What happens when the teams grow? If you are prepared ahead of time to get people up and running, it's going to happen a hell of a lot faster. It's going to be a lot smoother, and it's going to be a lot less painful. The next piece is do that happy years audit that I talked about, right? That means even having a half-day session where you pull all of the different organizations together, lines of business, and make sure that the definitions are clear and they're consistent and everybody's speaking the same language. The last piece is schedule those revenue alignment sessions. Get back together once a quarter, one or half annually. But to make sure, because things are moving so fast, especially technology, as we all know. What happened yesterday doesn't matter. Technology is now no longer at the speed of sales, it's now at the speed of AI. Would you agree? We used to be able to say, as soon as I print something, it's no longer useful. Sometimes today, as soon as I get comfortable with a new AI tool, guess what happens? What happens? Some 12-year-old kid in a basement somewhere says, ha ha ha, I can do that better. And sometimes they can. So here's my ask. Can I ask everyone to take their phones out for a moment? Just like I know you want to constantly improve and be better, the way that you're all looking to lift your game up, I'd like to do the same. If you would just take a moment, hit that QR code, and give me some feedback. It's a short survey, I promise you. It's not going to have 47 questions. But just to let me know how useful this was. Was this useful? Yeah. Thank you. Was it usable? Actionable? No? Man, you got my music ready. Thank you for this. Thank you for the opportunity for moving things forward, for the opportunity to come and spend some time with each of you, to share some best practices, but more importantly, for what's about to happen after this is over, and that is us going up, enjoying a good time on the roof, getting to know each other. Any questions you've got up there, feel free, ask away. If you've got any comments, feedback, I welcome them to come this way. So with that, I want to bring up one of your fearless leaders, Tom. And they're all yours.
Thank you, Roderick. Really great.
Thank you, sir.
Well done. Thanks.
Thank you all very much.